Cheryl Caruana. Here. Sean Kennedy.
Here.
Lisa Murray.
Here.
Rich Redifer. Here. Mike Terabasi.
Here.
And Michelle Boudreau. Aye. Here. If you would please stand, Sean will lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do need for executive session pursuant to Mass General Law C, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. Potential litigation relative to Town of Wilbraham's proposed warrant article regarding FY25 HWRC operating assessment.
Second.
Point of order. I think that before you can go into executive session, you have to have discussed the fact that there is going to be litigation of some sort. Has that discussion been held already? You can't go into executive session to discuss what you should litigate. You can go into strategies to discuss litigation.
We have received correspondence from the AG's office, and we did list the reason for going into executive session.
Yeah. And
We are able to go based on the meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body in terms of affairs, potential litigation relevant, if you stated the potential litigation.
yeah, well, the handout that I received and that they sent to me was to discuss strategies for litigation. And I think there's a difference between strategies for litigation and litigation itself. It doesn't have to be an extensive discussion, of the litigation issue, but it does have to say we're going to litigation for whatever the reason is. And I don't notice that anywhere. I did sort of try to find it on your website, but didn't see it.
I believe it's worded potential litigation. On our minutes, not our minutes, our agenda. Thanks.
So this information came from the AG's office, the Division of Open Government. So the public body may meet in executive session pursuant to Purpose 3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining.
Here's the point right here, to discuss strategy.
Mhm.
If you're discussing whether to go into litigation, you're not discussing strategy. You're discussing whether to go into litigation. There's a difference between discussing strategy and discussing whether to partake in litigation. Those are maybe a fine line, but it is a line. And that first discussion has to be an open session. We want to go to litigation for this reason, whatever the reason is. And then you can go in and say, okay, we're going to executive session to discuss the strategies that we're going to use to win this litigation or to partake in this litigation or whatever you want to say. So the operative word is to conduct, well, you word it whatever way you want to word it. You can have the discussion right now and say, okay, we're going into executive, we're going to pursue litigation for ABC or whatever, and then go into discuss your strategies all you want. I don't want to be part of the strategies, but I do want you to be open with the public so they know what's going on.
We're going to be meeting with our attorney, I think, so I don't think we can be in public session.
Not all attorney meetings are in public session, in executive session either.
So we did receive communication from the Town of Wilbraham that they will not be, the number that they will be voting on that will be printed on their warrant regarding the school committee budget that was approved. They are not printing that, and they will be putting the number that the finance committee has approved.
And so you were contemplating litigation on that matter.
So we will be discussing strategy.
Because you're contemplating litigation, right? I mean, you have to do the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the point of order. Okay. And I have a second. Is that
Second, if you don't already have it.
okay? So,
Yeah.
okay. So, Cheryl? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Rich?
Aye.
Mike?
Yep.
And myself, aye. We are now going to executive session at 6:35.
We don't have an idea of what time he's coming back, right? Yeah.
We have patience.
Yes, you do.
David, were you able to pick up Marianne? Were you able to pick up Marianne? Because she didn't have a microphone.
Sorry, your first sign up today. It's a good job.
Perfect, okay.
It's recording it now.
Not right now, is it?
Leave it on.
I'm back. Hello, people who are watching. Good thing I'm very
Good thing
pleasant
you're
today. Okay, I wanted to make sure.
It's still
Okay, yeah, we did.
up and,
Yeah.
it's still
Good.
live, Marielle.
Oh,
Just, not that it
Not that my
matters.
mouth is loud.
Not that it matters, but sometimes, just
I'm
want,
used to TV, so
I just want everyone to be careful.
I have to leave it running. And that's why I put a sign up. Or you can hard to see, but that white piece of paper there. Yeah. Yeah. You can go read it. That's a good question. When they have mic problems, I can pick them up where they are. Yes, exactly.
So where does this air, the stuff you're doing here?
You're right on camera now, you know that, right?
I didn't, but that's all right.
Okay.
I'm just curious as
Yeah,
to,
there's a Facebook, YouTube live stream, and it's on the agenda for the link. And it's recorded for public access TV. And when they get to uploading it to the server, it becomes available on the town website under video on demand.
all right,
And,
sorry.
and also, I think the go-to meeting also can be uploaded. So that's pretty much a backup as far as the video on demand.
So YouTube
It's all over the place.
is important because not everybody's on cable, right? Doesn't have the cable access. But you could, so it's YouTube and the website you can get it on.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
so she's kind of by herself a lot, which is a little bit of a struggle, but she loves it, and she'll be there until I graduate at least. Yeah, she really does. I'm really not sure. I think they were struggling to find people at the beginning, which is why they hired her like so close to the start of school, because they were looking for someone. But yeah, I think they're in a better place now, as more, like the teaching rate increases. But I think everyone's struggling for teachers now. So, especially private schools. But yeah, she loves it.
It only looks like I'm stealing the water, but I'm stealing the water. Steal water. If I was cute like you, I would grow up just like that, but I'm not, so I learned this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Right, Miss, I am going to use the salad to that. It's your turn to do such a be a while. school has.
I do, but.
You may.
She's really good.
I'm well. Welcome back. Aaron, we're going to try and do the kids first, I think. So could you get the video ready, please?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Are the kids here?
Yes.
Thank you. Let Elena go. She's very patient.
That's right, kiss the air.
She has to do her sheet first.
Thank you for hanging in there.
I know, me too. She said she wouldn't want to be anywhere else like this. That's how dedicated she is. School.
What's happening? Very good. Nice to see you. Right when we adjourned, there was here.
We have a session 2 you'll be back.
What, did I have hair the last time you saw me?
Session 2 electric board.
Yeah.
She's single.
Kind of the same way you look at it, like a monk in a cave, you're like, any quotes from certain people in here?
Not in there, I still have quotes though.
You gotta get me those quotes?
I'm glad they got the CEU, the PDPs, but.
Around it without knowing that this is just a whole.
Yeah, you've been on most of that.
Okay, so we are going to continue with our student rep update. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I hope everyone's enjoying this beautiful day. It's a good change of weather. So not quite a lot as the year's winding down, but ATI Club is hosting their Pedal It Forward during lunches next week. We will be giving out flowers with little note cards on them that just have positive messages that just spread awareness about suicide prevention and just making sure that everyone is in a good headspace before, you know, all these MCAS and all these finals coming up. So just a good way to bring that positivity in. Student Council also has our banquet next week, and we'll be celebrating all of our accomplishments because this year was very successful. And also wanted to touch base on the little senior assassin that just happened, even though it's technically not a school run. If you see any kids carrying some water bottles and some water guns around, you know that something's about to go down. So basically it's just a game where seniors play to win money, and you get out by being shot with a water gun, so it's a lot of fun. The Friends for the Homeless Cans food drive is also going on until tomorrow is our last day collecting. And also the Spanish and International Club will be selling bracelets at all 3 lunches for $15. The Fine Arts Festival is also next week on May 8th. This will be our last concert of the year, and we'll be presenting a bunch of pieces from band and choir and mixed, and as well as some art pieces as well. And the last and final thing is Teacher Appreciation Week this next week, which is a big, big week for teachers and student council kids, because we love to spoil our teachers with Dunkin' and thank you cards, and because we are just so appreciative of them. So, thank you.
Do you have any artwork, or do you have any friends that have any artwork that will be shown?
I have a couple friends that are in like play, and they kind of do that like staining things. I am also in Camerata, so I will be performing that night too.
Nice, good luck, thank you.
We are going to move out of order, and we are going to move to the superintendent's update.
Thank you very much for letting me go out of order tonight. Our strategic plan calls for us to develop a social media strategy that defines procedures for staff. As we work our way through the policy manual, you can see that we're starting to get into policies involving technology. In fact, policy GBEE, which has its first reading tonight, begins to deal with team, class, and student organization social media pages, among other things. There are more policies coming up in Section I of the policy manual that will help us to further define procedures for staff. So once we've worked through the issues covered by the various policies in Section I, we will have accomplished this goal of providing some clear and up-to-date guidance for staff and social media use. Moving on to enrollment numbers. I apologize that you don't have the report in its standard format tonight. The person responsible for creating that report, which you're accustomed to, is out of the office. I will supplement the pack with the usual report when she returns. Nevertheless, I can report that the May 1st enrollment is 2,861 students, which is 3 less than last month. Next, I'd like to congratulate Christine Goonan on being named to the Commonwealth Heroine Class of 2024. Christine was nominated by Representative Pupolo and selected by the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, or MCSW, to receive this award. The annual Commonwealth Heroine Honors goes to incredible women who are recognized leaders and contributors to their community and the Commonwealth. Commonwealth heroines are women who don't always make the news, but who truly make a difference. The MCSW team selected her as, quote, a woman without fanfare or recognition who uses her time, talent, spirit, and enthusiasm to enrich the lives of others. Christine will be recognized at the State House on June 14th, and I'd like to recognize her tonight. Finally, I'm pleased to announce that the Public Service Video Choices produced by members of the Above the Influence Club earned an honorable mention in this year's SAMHSA Challenge. This comes with a $2,000 prize that the club plans to use to enhance the district's substance abuse prevention resources. And they're here tonight, they're kind of hiding in the back, but shout out to them. Sure.
No, come on up, everyone up.
I had the pleasure of spending time with Mr. DeLesio and several members of the club earlier today at our Youth Partnerships Coalition meeting. And they shared that one of their greatest desires is to exercise greater leadership so that it's not always school employees who are doing all the talking. So let me just say, message received. And that can start right now with the first community screening of their award-winning video.
Did you guys make that? Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. What a great video. You guys, awesome.
So me, Liz, and Bella are all part of the audio and video club here at Minichog. It's still unofficial. And Jack is part of the Above the Influence Club. And we just showed you a video that we made that won $2,000 that we're putting towards the school for mental health services. And we received it as an honorable mention in the San Professor National Contest. But just for a quick background of how we actually got here and what happened to get us that award. About 2 months ago, Mrs. Alessio came to us and asked if AV Club could help with his club, Above the Influence Club, with a PSA type video for this national contest. And at first we were a little on the fence about it since we had other projects that we were working on. We only had about a week and a half to actually make this come true, but eventually we chose to help out and we started working on it. We went through several days of scripting, planning, and figuring out locations to film. Places like Liv's grandma's house and asking the owner of Rice's if we could actually film there, which we did. And we also collaborated with Mr. Ingram from the music department. And I sat by his side as he created an original score for us that you saw. This video was really fun to make. It proved how important video and film is here at Minichog and how much interest in video there is. As you can see, we have quite a few people here, but there are more. And we hope to make more things like this for the community. And yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, John, could we put a link to this on the district website, maybe on all the school individual websites as well, just so we can get this out there? They did the work, you know, and what makes the work more important is the more eyes that see it.
Absolutely, great idea.
Riley, you had mentioned the AV Club. Not official?
Not official yet. We don't have enough people, but we are getting more.
Okay. I think this video will go a long ways to help with that. Awesome. Anything we can do on the side of the school committee to help you guys, let us know, because that's high quality public service announcement right there. That's outstanding.
I think, like you said, maybe sharing the link elsewhere to help share the video. As of right now, it's not supposed to be as public as you may think. Oops. Since they have yet to actually announce the winners. But after May 13th, they're live streaming it that day. I think it's okay.
Because after we set this up, we got the official email tonight. It said, but they're like, please don't share it on all social media stuff. I think they're talking about kid Instagrams and stuff like that. So I haven't posted it on any of our social network stuff or clubs or anything. This is something a lot different. I don't think anyone from the Sam Shaw's going to be, I mean, maybe they will, but checking out the Hampton Wilbraham network site, but I mean, possibly. So it's a safe place to show it. I think they're just referencing like Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that.
We can wait 10 days if we have to, not to get you in trouble.
Because they want it to be a surprise, but yeah.
So do you hit dingers often?
No.
No?
I'll pitch it. I don't usually hit.
There you go. So it looks like you're
Jack, can you tell them the story about how that ball went so far?
So the first part of the video, I hit a ground ball, and so then he just had me throw it up and hit it in the air.
So the sound of the crack of that was real, and we rejected it, but that was a fixed bomb.
Yeah.
But in this defense, we filmed this on a super windy day. It was in there really bad, and I was pitching. So that's legit. I was pitching, so that has a lot to do with the hard ground.
I had to completely rework and edit the audio and find like online video clips because it was so windy and everything you heard was
Right,
so that's why you can hear the birds chirping that weren't heard that day.
Excellent job. Enjoy filmmaking. It's a wonderful art, and it's a lot of fun as well.
And not to belabor it, but it's probably one of the most pressing issues that we have right now. If we look at what's going on in our country today, it's frightening. And I can't imagine being in your shoes. I knew what it was like growing up 40 years ago. I can't imagine being in your shoes today with the myriad of choices that you have and all of the sort of the monsters that are lurking behind every bush. So I can congratulate you as a great video, and more importantly, congratulate you on making the right choice. So, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was a week, which was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having us.
It's vision.
Yeah.
Some kids have it.
Yeah, so it is. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will continue with the Assistant Superintendent for Finance, Operations, and Human Services, Aaron.
Alrighty. So the first thing on my agenda is the monthly budget update. You have a memo from me. That memo really speaks to some of the drivers where you see some of the sort of increasing negative variances in a couple line items in the budget as we start to close out this year. As I shared with you in the fiscal 25 budget buildup, we have had some increases in needs that will go into next year, but we also have some decreases in needs that will go into next year. The increases in needs are immediate, so we've taken on some of those costs immediately. The decreases will be realized in the next year. So, you know, they will to some degree balance out, but we are absorbing some additional costs as we go into next year. Some of those costs include out-of-district placements. Some of them also include DCF, unilateral placements that we can't control. You'll also see I speak to homeless transportation increases. These are all items that are very much out of our control and can be very challenging. So again, we're hopeful that the numbers we gave you for budget for next year are as close to accurate as possible. There was a lot of last minute sort of figuring things out, but overall, I think if you look back to last year's, we are well ahead of where we were last year in terms of our total spend relative to budget. So I'm hopeful we will be in a good position to end the year. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, do we have, thank you. Do we have any students that are currently doubling up and qualified as homeless?
Yes. Yes. So there are a number of different qualifications for homeless, and it can be pretty broad, but in some cases it does include doubling up. I don't want to speak to specific cases, and I honestly don't have the specific cases.
Is a lot of kids?
I mean,
okay.
We don't have a tremendous number of homeless students for which this would apply relative to some other districts, but our history has been low, so our budget has been low. So the reason that it's impacting us is our numbers are coming up, and that's impacting us negatively.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he's powering up the spreadsheet over there to give some more detail.
You know, it's a hard thing when the children are displaced and living and doubling up their homes, and then have to go on a long bus ride before class originally came.
Currently, we have 15 students that are identified under the McKinney-Vento.
That's a lot.
So in past years, that number has been 5 or fewer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Okay. If that's it, the next item is you have a memo on the boiler replacement. So when we originally put everything together to present, the sort of assessment of the cost of the boiler replacement was going to be under $100,000. When we went to the towns, knowing we'd rather be over than under, we brought that up to $125,000. As it turns out, the 2 bids we received now are for $144,400 $135,500. You know, this is a project we would really like to get done. If we lose that boiler, we can limp along as we did this year, but if anything else were to happen, we would be in pretty solid jeopardy. So the difference when you add in the engineering costs, so as we shared with you, they do not make the boiler, the model boiler that we have in this building anymore. So we are having to buy a new boiler, the new model, whose piping and wiring is set up differently. So we will have to rewire and repipe it, which means we have to re-engineer the design. That came to $7,100. So our low bid at TJ Conway would come to a total cost, coupled with the engineering, of $142,600, which is $17,600 more than the town's agreed to pay. So we are requesting at this time that the school committee approve $17,600 out of the Minnetonka Capital Stabilization.
I make a motion to approve the additional utilization of an additional $17,600 from the Minnetonka Capital Stabilization Fund for the purpose of complementing the Minnetonka boiler replacement project.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question. They're able to complete this work over the summer?
That will be the goal, yeah, by the summer.
All right, perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And we will, as a result of this, and
Motion carries 7-0.
I'm sorry. As a result of this and others, we are absolutely reassessing our capital needs assessment yet again. We've done that a couple times now, and every number we keep coming up with for these sorts of things keeps exceeding our expectations. I wish I had it. I live in Amherst, as I've said before. They just bid out their library project that was going to be initially a $36 million project. They reassessed it at 36 million to 46 million. They just got bids in the range of a single bid around 53 million. So, everyone's getting hit by this. So, it's a lot of challenging situations with this sort of thing.
I would like to make a comment. I think we all need to keep in mind for next year when we come into the budget season. I think we need to revisit and take seriously making contributions to the Minnetonka Stabilization Fund. I know historically it's $50,000 a year, although I think this year there's not going to be any, right? Because of pressure from primarily the town of Wilbraham. I think my personal feeling is starting next year we should start with $100,000 a year into the fund and then step it up to where it should be, or at least, with the small amount like that's put in every year, like $50,000 a year, we can deal with these little discrepancies when they happen, but we can't handle any projects. It's just, I think, something we're all going to have to think about and discuss where we want to go. I think we are all committed to taking care of this building for the students. So,
A big part of that is going to be the capital needs projections for the building. I think, there's always going to be the unexpected costs, but we know that at some point this building is going to need a roof. We know that at some point the parking lot is going to need to be resurfaced. So there are things that are on the horizon, and I think we really need to take a serious hard look at those numbers and then work backwards from there. Because to just take an arbitrary number for to place it in stabilization, we don't know. We want to make sure that we have that money there. We're going to get pushback from finance, and we're seeing it this year. But it is important, because things do come up like this. You're right. There's no question. You want to try to stay ahead of these things.
I don't think Wilbraham Finance will the town, I'm just going to say the town of Wilbraham, will allow us to contribute what needs to be in that fund to cover all of the capital needs, but we definitely need money in that fund on an ongoing basis. For instance, if we didn't have any money in that fund, we may have had to delay the boiler project to wait until there's 2 separate town meetings to vote on additional, right? Because the capital process outside of using that fund is, you know, it has to be on a warrant, and so this came out too late to make the warrants for these town meetings, so we would have been waiting until fall town meetings at the earliest for approval for those funds, which means the project wouldn't happen for another winter. So I just...
Would we be able to get reimbursement from the towns for this expense?
I mean, they would have to approve it through something like a town meeting warrant. I think that would be unlikely. I mean, effectively, this is funds from the town, right? So, I mean, you know, the our budget is voted by towns as money that's available.
We should bookmark this for the discussions next fall to justify how important it is to continue to contribute to the state.
Yeah, I mean, discussions in June. You know, like, okay, here's another step of how we're trying to save the town money.
The subsurface discussion is, you know, I mean, it's pay now, pay later, right? I mean, we can stash the money aside now so that we have that money available to us when these things occur, you know, or you can, you know, kind of wait until the spill happens and then mop it up through town meeting and get appropriations from the town through assessments. You know, I think this is a lot cleaner way to do it, certainly, and it does give us the freedom, as John said, when you have a capital need like this, you know, the idea of replacing a boiler during the school year, I mean, that's tricky. I mean, you got to be shutting down power. You know, in order to do the rewiring, you're going to have to shut down the other boilers, or at least shut them off, at least cut them off. So, you know, much like the fire panel over at Stony Hill, right? I mean, it's so much easier to get this work done in the summer when there's no students here. And so having the ability to do that by having funds available in the capital stabilization account makes a huge difference so that it doesn't negatively impact education of our students.
Okay. I believe the third item is related to the bubble classroom. So I think John and I have had discussions with the principal, Sharon. I think, you know, our proposal coupled with the choice, the 4 choice seats that exist there, we've identified a position, a paraprofessional position that could be cut from the budget next year. There are routinely vacancies, so it would not cost someone their job, and that would offset enough funds that we could, you know, I allude sometimes to rolling the dice, right? I feel a little more comfortable rolling the dice on hiring a teacher at that. So that's what I would propose we do. I don't think that requires a vote from the school committee. I'm just...
I have a question for you. Where is that paraprofessional working right now? Is it in Wilbraham?
Well, we're not cutting a person. It's a position that would have been in Green. It's a position that would have been in Green Meadows, and you know, whether it's a person or not in a position of shuffling and turnover that happens routinely, and that whether it ends up in the end being at Green Meadows or not is somewhat academic. Our paraprofessionals are shuffled based on need in a given moment, but we definitely know that we have, you know, a need we can reduce.
Just to speak to maybe a little more specificity, it would be a paraprofessional position for the middle school. Again, not an individual, because there are plenty of positions available, but that's where the middle school at Green Meadows, because there are very few students there, and we believe we can absorb that cut there.
And you're sure you're not going to...
And then you'll have the extra teacher.
Correct.
And you're sure
I support that.
And you're sure that by cutting this paraprofessional, you're not going to be hurting any of the students in the middle school?
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure that there'll be any students in the middle school.
There you go.
Any other questions or clarifications? Okay. It's time for public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make public comment? Okay, please stay on the table. affiliations to the district.
I'm Lisa Sternberg, and I'm a resident of Hampton. I also taught at Green Meadows for 8 years, and my topic tonight was the bubble classroom of the second graders going into third grade. I'm very pleased to hear your solution. So I don't really have to be here, and yet I taught second grade at Green Meadows. I know how crowded those rooms are. I think the greatest number I had was 25, and it was tight. And yeah, to meet the needs of these kids, I think that the size simply has to be lower. So I appreciate your hard work to make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment this evening? Oh, I think you're going to. Please state your name and your affiliations to the district.
My name is Timothy Collins. I'm a resident. I live at 771 Main Street here in Waltham. Thank you for the opportunity. I attended both of the town meetings on strategic planning, and I heard tremendous support for bringing back hands-on learning, shop, home, and careers. So many courses like this across this Commonwealth. As teachers in those areas retired, they weren't replaced. They were replaced with teachers in the MCAS field. So if it's language arts, math, or science, your shop teachers are replaced and you're hired. I don't think we're educating the whole child. And every child does not need to go to college. We have students graduating at a regional and Springfield vocational school who have seniors, but they've done a good job and they get in their trade. They're making more than a first-year teacher, and that's just the beginning for them. So the other thing that, for me, as spending 25 years as a middle school teacher, math middle school teacher, kids in shop would come to me and want help with measurement and angles and things like that. Kids from home ec would learn how to make a meal for two. They'd want to go home and make it for their family, 5 or 6 people. They paid attention when I taught ratio and proportion. And if you understand ratio and proportion, then percents become simple. There is an interconnectedness between our hands-on learners and academic learners that is very helpful. It's my belief that every child needs a chance to shine during the day. And if you're good at art, or if you're good at music, or if you're good at shop, or if you're good at cooking, that could be your chance to shine during the day. And my experience with middle school kids is if they're happy a portion of the day, it makes the rest of their day easier. And they're willing to put in some effort in classes that they're usually frustrated in if they have some portion of their day where they're a successful student. So thank you for listening. I know we can't do anything about this immediately, but I hope we're doing an inventory of what space is available and looking over the budget. Maybe we'd start with a pilot program. I know the shop end of it is very expensive with equipment or something like that, but I think we need to get back to offering courses for students who are hands-on learners. And so I hope when we look at the space that's available, we look at it with an eye to can we add shops and home careers. Now I know there's a lot of equipment involved in that, and it's not going to be anything we're going to be able to do overnight, but I think it is important for well-rounded students. You know, it takes a heck of a lot more to become a positive, productive human being, a good citizen, a good parent, a good neighbor. They can be measured on any MCAS test. And we've gotten away from educating the whole child, and I'd like to see us get back to it. So thank you for listening. Any questions?
We had a teacher in middle school who taught a shop 20 years ago. And that year, we cut shop. And he won Teacher of the Year that year from Massachusetts.
Thank you. We'll move on to the subcommittee updates. Oh, is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment this evening? Are you sure?
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. We will move on to the subcommittee updates. We will begin with the curriculum subcommittee. Lisa?
I don't have anything to update for cooking.
Okay. Planning committee, do not have anything to update at this meeting. We will have a pretty robust discussion at our next meeting. Finance and operations subcommittee, Sean?
How much do we want to talk about here? Is this going to be the forum to talk about what we're going to be talking about? Okay. So, I don't remember a time in Wilbraham, again, I've only been in the town for, 11, 12 years, where we had, I said it's 13, where we had a warrant that was sent in by the school committee or another department, and the finance committee, a group of appointed, not elected officials, decided to put their number on instead of the number that that committee put forth. I know it's important with the school committee budget because we have an agreement with the town of Hamden, and the agreement with the town of Hamden, Wilbraham has, is for this HWRSD school committee. And what we do is we base it on population of students, so whatever budget we come up with based on that population size ratio, we divide the budget up, and it has to be voted on with those proportions, as Tim just talked about how proportions are. For some reason, which again I don't believe has ever happened here, the people appointed on the finance committee have decided to put their number forth as the budget for us. From what I have heard publicly and privately is they want us to cut the vocational education that we were planning on starting in the 9th grade over at the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. This, I believe, is short-sighted because we still have to provide vocational education to our students if they request one. So this is what's going to happen is because we don't have vocational happening in 9th grade. We do have, I say, but if we don't, they want us to cut vocational for the 9th grade. Right, we can't. We can't, you get it, microphone too,
Sorry.
We can't cut it. And the reason why we can't cut it is because Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative is no longer accepting 10th graders as first year into vocational. They want it to be a 4-year program, not a 3-year program. So we have to have them apply in 9th grade. So if they want us to cut that budget and not use Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative for vocational training, all the other resources that we have for vocational training are approximately, John, am I correct in this, twice as much as what Lower Pioneer Valley would cost us?
I would say more than that. The
More.
tuition is twice as much, and then we
The
have transportation built into LVPEC. If you're going to add a transportation cost, depending on whether it's Pathfinder or Smithville, you're talking $300 to $500 a day additional cost.
If I was I am a member of this town, and as a member of this town, a voting member, a taxpayer, I'm enraged that this decision has been made by Finance Committee over the elected body of the HWRSD, that they think that they can cut vocational when they can't. What they're trying to do is limit, I don't even know what they're trying to do. I'm not even going to pretend to say what they're trying to do. It just doesn't make sense. They're going against the regional agreement that has been in place since, 1993. And it's just, I do have to say, and I'm very proud of it, that Hamden says they are going to go and vote for the full budget as we have sent to them. And I'm very proud of our brothers and sisters over in Hamden for doing that. we are going to have to take some actions, we're going to have to do some things. I think, why don't John, let me take it over from here. I don't know which direction you guys want me to go with this. There's so much to talk about. What's that? There you go.
I'm not exactly sure where you'd like me to go with that. I can't say that. There are a number of options that the committee has in front of them, which I've shared and which you've shared in conversations with each other. One thing I guess that I would share publicly is I asked the Department of Education if they could provide any guidance on this situation, and did get a communication back from Michelle Griffin, who is one of the two people in charge of the Regional District Governance Office, that said, it is our opinion that towns and regional school districts should place the amount recommended by the Regional School Committee before their town's appropriated authorities for a vote. So I guess that is one piece that I could contribute to the conversation.
So, again, to Sean's point, I think it was very appropriate that our last public speaker talked about the interest in vocational training. Because that was, if we look at the number that the budget is reduced, that was the reason. It was basically the cost of funding that vocational training. And it's a problem. It's a problem from a couple of perspectives. Number one, as Sean said, I alluded to it in the last meeting, obviously I didn't explain it very well, I guess, but we are out of compliance with the regional agreement right now. So the way the warrant is going to be presented to the voters at town meeting, we are not in compliance. So the voters of Hamden are paying a disproportionately larger share of this year's operating cost of the school district based on the number that Wilbraham is asking for. The second thing is that it creates a very dangerous precedent moving forward, because this year you're looking at $67,000. Who's to say next year it's not 1.5 million? And who's to say the year after that it's not 3 million? And as a school committee, one of the three enumerated responsibilities of a school committee is to set the budget. And so it sort of takes away one of the statutory obligations of the school committee, and to Sean's point, it's basically placing it in the hands of 7 appointed individuals. So, this is it's a slippery slope. Much like we talked about bringing kids in on school choice and funding positions with school choice, so too is this a slippery slope, because if we allow this to happen this year, then there's no telling where it's going to devolve to. So, and I think it's very important that the voters of the town of Wilbraham understand that we have worked in incredibly good faith. Our E&D is 0. We have absolutely no money in our excess and deficiency account. We have spent money. We didn't put any money into mid-chalk stabilization this year.
Actually, E&D is free cash for those who don't understand.
So I think in terms of good faith efforts on the part of the school committee, I think we've more than sort of met the obligations that we have to provide a good faith budget and to be able to fill in the gaps where we can. The problem that I see is it's not so much, it wasn't so much a discussion about the money that was going to be allocated towards vocational training. From what I heard, it was the budgetary implications of creating policies or programs in the district that have ongoing financial considerations. So you start a program this year, but then there's additional financial costs associated as you move down the road. So I understand the spirit of it, in that the finance committee is trying to watch out for, sort of a budget running amok by creating programs and then not having a mechanism to actually be able to fund them. And I believe reviewing the preliminary warrant for the meeting, You know, the Article 17, which is, which basically is asking voters to approve a change in parliamentary procedures of the town meeting, so that if a person makes a motion or an amendment to a motion to increase the expense, then it has to be, that person has to identify where that money is going to come from. And that's going to be a big piece of the meeting, I think. It's going to be a huge piece because, that article, ironically, and I don't think ironically, I think it's strategically placed, is placed 2 places before the vote on the school budget. And so if you have anybody that wants to make an amendment to increase the budget by $67,000, then the onus is on them to say this is where the money is coming from. I think it's pretty obvious where the money can come from. I mean, the town put, what, $250,000 into OPEB, $400,000 is slated to go into free cash, stabilization. So there's money there, and I find the irony stinging, because here we are spending our free cash down to nothing, and we're being held hostage for $67,000, while at the same time the town of Wilbraham is taking, 6 times that amount and putting it into stabilization.
I do want to make a quick point, and I'll turn it to you. We did, the people who work on the finance committee in Wilbraham, they are hard workers. They have put in a ton of meetings, they meet with tons of departments, they spend lots of time of their time that they're not spending with their family, working for the town, working for us, and we do appreciate that. I think what's happened here is maybe they've just taken it, I believe, a step too far. It is our responsibility to come up with the budget. They can either recommend it or not recommend it, but they have decided to go a step further. Also, I do question that the Nick Brohl, who is the town administrator from Wilbraham, basically cut off even having our attorneys talk to each other to see if there could be a resolution or what the thought process was. And I don't believe, at least according to the emails I've received, that it was CC'd with the Board of Selectmen. So I would hope that the Board of Selectmen are aware of what's going on, and that maybe there's something that can be amended before town meeting comes. I do want to say too that John and Aaron have not only brought E&D down to 0, but they've also listed the cuts that we've made and the things that we've done for savings. We've gone into micro detail on what we've done to keep this budget as tight, as low as possible, and it would have been under the limit that they gave us if not for some procedural things that the finance asked us to do, which including some one-time costs that were viewed in the past as one-time costs, but as part of the budget. So, and that's what brought us over a little bit. I felt that we went above and beyond, and I thought that's what finance thought too, but then certain members of finance disagreed.
So, I just wanted to say a couple things along this line. You've already heard me voice concern over the depletion of the Minichog Stabilization Fund. The combination of depletion of that fund and the E&D or free cash funds, even with the budget, the assessment as it was sent out, which was a very aggressively cut budget, several layoffs, hundreds of thousands of dollars cut, I am a little bit concerned about the financial stability of the school district through the year. We just witnessed, a perfect example today in this meeting of why I should be concerned, why we should all be concerned. And I don't mean the committee, I mean all of the people who have children in the school district. Because expenses aren't always what they're proposed. And here we have the boilers, right? We're talking about being able to heat the school. And it required extra money beyond what was committed by the towns for that capital project just to make it happen. And this has been happening over and over again for the last couple of years. So I'm very concerned about the depletion of these funds, which basically means that, we are cut down to the skin. And I'm concerned if we have an expense that's unexpected, that's of the right size. There's just going to be nowhere for the money to come from. And I'm not even sure what the recourse would be. The thing that concerns me the most, though, I would be perfectly fine with, we're elected by the towns, and one of our main jobs is to set the budget. That's what we're supposed to do. And And we did that, and we sent it, but the towns also need to vote on the budget. And I think in fairness and to representation of the town should see the budget assessment that was sent, and the town should render their opinion. The town sees the budget, and the town decides to not vote for it, then they decided not to vote for it. I feel what's been done, the way they wrote the warrant, and I think it's done at this point. I don't think they can change it. It's very misleading, you know, because the number from the assessment letter is not what the warrant is. And if the town goes ahead and passes the warrant as it's written, the school budget will fail, and then we're going to be in extra town meetings for both towns. Because when the budget fails, both towns are going to have to meet again. And if both towns again don't agree, then there'll be a joint town meeting. And this is a venture that's the hard way to do the budget. They correctly stated, I mean, the strategic long-range plan asked to improve vocational technical education. It was the #1 complaint I heard from people when I was running for school committee last year, that we were deficient in what we were offering for vocational and technical education because our 9th graders weren't allowed to enter into that, which has lots of implications for their vocational technical education because the class is filled. They were entering Lower Pioneer Valley as 10th graders. All the other towns were entering as 9th graders. So they got what was left. They didn't get to choose what fields they really wanted to go into. We were basically the only town left in this state that didn't offer 9th grade as an option to start vocational and technical education, which is something that's guaranteed as a right by state law. So it just, and they didn't agree with it, and and so they felt that they shouldn't pay for it, and so that's where this proposed cut came from. And we've said all of this before, but the thing that is most concerning to me is the fact that the way the warrant is written, I think it can be misleading to the voters that are going to show up for town meeting, and I think that the people of this town, of the town of Woodbury, who show up to town meeting, deserve to be shown the assessment number clearly and plainly, so it's easy to understand, and they know what they're voting for. And if they don't vote for it, then they didn't vote for it, that's fine, but it's been set up so it's misleading. The Article 17 is specifically designed to make it additionally difficult to anyone who wants to amend the motion to have there be an increase in funding, because now you have to say where the funding source is going to come from if Article 17 passes. So anyway, that's my feelings. I have to say it. And back to you, Bill.
No, I appreciate it. Everything you said was exactly what I was going to say. It's great, but I think what's fascinating about this is projecting down the road and understanding what the ramifications of this could be moving forward. I think it's incredibly damaging. And you're right. When we look at the capital needs, and I've said this for the last few years, the taxpayers in both towns have been spoiled for the last 20 plus years. Because in the last few years of the old Minichog, there really wasn't anything going in capital improvements. And for the last 14 years, we've been sitting in a brand new building. But those capital needs are going to start creeping up on us. And when they do, there's going to be a little bit of sticker shock for the voters of both towns when they understand that, a $63 million school, which today would end up being, I would say, twice as much money to build. We're looking at East Long Meadow there was like $180 million to build their high school. This high school was built for $63 million. There's going to be capital needs coming down the road, and we need to have sort of a realistic discussion and make sure that the voters of both towns understand that these budget squabbles won't go away. I don't want this to end up in litigation. I don't want this to end up in a legal fight. I want the Board of Selectmen in Wilbraham, the school committee, and the appointed finance committee to be able to find that middle ground. I don't know what else they're expecting us to cut, but
we need to figure this out. We can't be having boards fighting against each other when the subject on the table is education. Education, it's a net loser. You don't make money on education. It is the responsibility of every community to pay money so that the kids in the district have the best education possible. And as Sean said, you don't get your dividends now. You get your dividends 20 years from now when those kids graduate and they get married and they have families of their own. Now they're in the district. And it's very short-sighted to think that we can short the school budget and think that we're going to improve the condition of the town. As Aaron has said, the schools drive the town. The number one consideration when you move to a town is go to the schools. You know, we're not asking you, you know, how good's the senior center, or, you know, how many hiking trails do you have? It's how good are the schools. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to speak to the next steps? Where we are right now?
Okay, so we have instructed our attorney to reach out to the Attorney General to see if they have any position on this that we can share with the town. We have been very conscious with every step of the way, talking with the town, trying to keep dialogue open, trying to explain our points, but it seems like they're not willing to move forward. So we will continue. I will be going again tomorrow to Town Hall. I went there today to figure out what steps that we can do on the day of the town hall meeting on the floor to be able to see if we can amend the figure. I know that there is Article 17 that they're trying to have it so that you have to say where you're going to get the money from to pay for something. So in anticipation, I'm not sure if you come before or after that. I'm just I'll try to get our ducks in a row, make sure that you know, we're all on the same page. This is how it goes forward. But I think that's the next steps that we have. What's that? Oh, and by the way, what I think we should do, and if this is okay with everybody, is because of the nature of the conversations with our attorney, that, you know, coming back here in 2 weeks, you know, might not be timely enough to make decisions. When we had issues like this before, we did appoint a member of the school committee to work with the attorney representing the school committee. Last time we did this was with Dr. Bontempi, who did I think, great job of making sure that everything that he said and did with the attorney reflected the wants and needs of this committee. So I think that we should have someone else again. I don't know if Dr. Bontempi would like to do it again, but just in the, you know, just to make sure that we address these things in a timely manner rather than waiting the weeks between meetings.
Thanks. Thank you for the endorsement. Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. I've worked with Sean throughout the years. Pretty easy to communicate with him. So yes, I will keep you guys abreast of everything that goes on, any developments that we have. The one other thing that I think would be useful, even though it may only be a one-way communication, is if there is a communication that is sent from this committee to the board of selectmen, as well as all members of the finance committee, giving them our concerns and laying them out. And everything that we've talked about tonight, I think, you know, is basically in preparation, because if we get to the point where we get town meeting and there's still a $67,000 chasm between what we're proposing for a budget and what the finance committee is recommending, a lot of these things are going to come up. I think it would be instructive for us to be able to put those points down, relay those points. It makes our position that much stronger at town meeting to say, we sent them a letter. They were all aware of our concerns. My biggest concern, honestly, of all of them, is the regional agreement. We are out of compliance with our regional agreement, and we know You know, that is the primary instrument of our district.
Does this need to be a motion, or are we all in agreement?
Are we all in agreement of appointing Bill as our person? Liaison for health insurance for the school committee?
I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you.
I will allow you to speak.
Pardon me?
Will you come to the microphone?
Oh, yes, you can hear me, I know.
Okay.
No, use the microphone for
It's
the
for,
cameras.
it's for
Yeah.
And then they can
YouTube.
Yeah, it's being recorded, so. Just press the button so that the light turns green.
This one?
No, the one right in front.
Got it. Thank you. I did not come claiming to speak to this issue, but I think everybody has gotten entrenched in their positions, and I'm wondering if a neutral party could come in and, without, not a legal person, but a neutral party could come in and explain, take with a representative maybe from here and a representative from the finance board, and explain to each other why the real issue is not the $67,000, which is a big issue, but it is the finance committee overstepping their responsibilities. And if we could have an intelligent kumbaya moment and try to get everybody on the same page and try to say, okay, we'll do better next year, all of us, but for now, we're going to a town meeting on the 10th of May, which is a minute and a half from now, and we will not be able to rectify this if we go to our town meeting, unless the Wilbraham wants to change. So I think if we could come up with a respected, independent party who would talk to, have one of you and one of them and say, let's compromise. That's how the world's supposed to work. Okay? So I'll be happy to nominate people for it, or to work with you to get people for it, or to do whatever. But I think this arguing is not helpful for anybody, and it's certainly not putting the kids first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mariano.
Any other comments or questions regarding the finance subcommittee conversation? John, Aaron, anything to add? Guys good?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Yes, if everyone is all set. Any other questions, any other comments?
I think we're all set, thank you.
Okay, excellent. We will move on to the OPEB Collaborative representative, Lisa.
Here it is.
Okay. So it was my favorite night of the year over at the Collaborative last week because it was the Career Technical Educational Center's General Advisory Committee meeting presentation to the board members. So each program or shop at CTEC presented to the board, which included all 11 programs, so like health assisting, graphic and visual design, automotive technology, networking and technology, early education, etc. Presented everything that the students have been working on, and we also had a presentation from students that were competing in Skills USA, and something that was exciting for me was that the student vice president and student secretary for the chapter of Skills USA are Minichog students, and one of them is a freshman. So we got the opportunity to compete and be on the board for Skills USA. And then we had our dinner thanking all of the mentors and places that have been working with the students as they've been advancing through the 4 years. We also have been talking about ways to expand. So we know criminal justice is expanding next year, but we need some more ideas on how to expand because LPBEC doesn't have the same access to money that school districts do because it's I don't even know how to explain that, John, but it's not,
It's tuition based.
yes, so they can't apply for, and they don't qualify for certain educational things that public schools do. So, if a generous rich donor would like to expand CTEC, that would be wonderful. But truly, if anybody has any ideas or donations, I did actually meet, I was at a conference having nothing to do with this and met with some teachers at Pathfinder and asked them some questions, and they've been expanding too. So maybe working together we could find some solutions. But that's it.
So one of the things we talked about in the budget roundtable when our two legislators were here was getting the legislature to take a look at, and trying to find ways to take, an organization like the Collaborative and increasing their access to federal and state grant funding, because that's a huge piece. I have no idea why they would be relegated to just basing it on tuition when it's truly an educational, establishment. There's two things that I thought of as I've been sort of mulling this over my head in the past couple of months since that meeting. So the first one, and this is more of semantics than anything else, but I have two kids who are in high school. Marissa is a junior and Angelina is a freshman. And we went from 3 tracks to 2 tracks of education. So we have the honors track and then we have college prep. And our public speaker, Tim, brought up an interesting point tonight, and that is there's a significant percentage of population of kids that graduate from this school that go into careers. And it's more of a semantic line than anything else, but when we list it in our program of studies, would it be more appropriate to list it as college and career prep? So that it doesn't create the stigma of a kid who's going to school here that somehow their education is not going to be as valuable to them because they're not planning on going to college. So to me, I think that goes a long way. The other part of it, and I think it's going to take a little bit more digging and sort of interviewing, is, and I think the legislators asked a very, very apt question when they said, how many students are denied entry into vocational training programs? I think that's the wrong question to ask. I think the question that we should be asking is, how many kids are discouraged from entering vocational training tracks before they even get to the high school, knowing that there are limited slots and there are limited opportunities? I had the pleasure of meeting with a gentleman in my office who works as a teacher in Franklin Tech, and they offer aviation, and it's just off the ground. But I mean, and all of a sudden, you think to yourself, like, wow, this is a great opportunity for kids. And much to the point that Tim had made, math and science, yeah, that is important. Like, you better know about math if you're going to be doing aviation technology. So I think the question that we really need to ask is, I think we heard that there was more than enough interest in it. The strategic plan was literally replete with people who came forward to say that they thought the vocational training opportunities weren't adequate in the district. I agree with that. I think we can do that. But actually putting that and taking that sort of aspirational goal, but then sort of being able to do it, I think are two different things. However, I think it would be instructive to the legislature to find out how many kids, sort of really come to the high school knowing that they're going to do vocations, they're not going to go to college, but, they're not doing the LPVEC because it's time on the bus, time away from their friends. We don't offer what they have through the Collaborative. They don't want to be traveling with Pathfinder to do automotive. They don't want to be traveling with Smith to do agriculture. So I think we would find a much larger number than what we have, just the students that aren't placed, with the number of kids that are actually discouraged from pursuing that to begin with. So, two things that I want to get out there.
Anyone else? Cheryl, do you have anything to report from the corporation? So we will continue. There's nothing for negotiation subcommittee, so we'll move on to the policy subcommittee.
Yes. All right. Memorandum on third reading of the following section E and G policies. I'll be looking, if it's amenable, for a motion and a vote. Motion to accept and vote. EC1, Regional School District Buildings and Ground Management. GBA, Equal Employment Opportunity. GBEA, Staff Ethics, Conflict of Interest. GBEB, Staff Conduct. GBEBC, Gifts to and solicitations by staff. GBEBD, Online Fundraising and Solicitations, Crowdfunding. GBEC, Drug-Free Workplace Policy. GBGB, Staff, Personnel, Security and Safety. GBGE, Domestic Violence Leave Policy. GBCF, Family and Medical Leave. GBI, Staff Participation in Political Activities. GBJ, Personal Records. GCA, Professional Staff Positions. GCBA, Professional Staff Salary Schedules. GCBB, Employment of Principals. GCBC, Professional Staff Supplementary Pay Plans. GCE, Professional Staff Recruiting, Posting of Vaccines. GCF, Professional Staff Hiring. GCG, Substitute Professional Staff Employment. GCIA, Philosophy of Staff Development. GCJ, Professional Teacher Status. GCK, Professional Staff Assignments and Transfers. GDB, Support Staff Contracts and Compensation Plans.
I make a motion to accept the aforementioned section E and G policies that were mentioned by Dr. Terry Boston.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Memorandum on third reading of the following section H policies. And I think I'm going to do the ayes with it as well that are a third reading. So I'll again be looking for a motion to adopt and a vote. HA, negotiations goals. HB, negotiations legal status. HF, school committee negotiating agents. I, J, and D, access to digital resources.
Make a motion to accept the aforementioned section H and section I policies as read by Dr. Terry Boston.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, memorandum on first reading of the following policies. GBEE, personnel use of technology. JIJC, student use of technology in schools. KDC, community use of digital resources.
So yeah, just it was a comment what was brought up during policy. One of the things that I would sort of ask all the committee members to look at is when we're talking about the acceptable use policy for the district. And there were some pretty sweeping recommendations from DESE to really streamline that policy. And I think, John and Aaron, you weren't here, but when Julie Keefe was here, it was right around the onset of COVID, and all of a sudden we realized that everybody was going to be doing remote learning, and they spent an awful lot of time doing a pretty robust acceptable use policy. I spent time looking it over. I have some ideas on it, but I think everybody should take a look at that acceptable use policy and look at the streamlined recommendations and get an idea, because I think that is a very significant change to the district.
It is. The position of the MASC is that the policy is very, quite well written, and law that Bill's referring to has a lot of details in it. And the position from MASC is that things are just changing too rapidly. And so the new policy is much shorter and has very broad language in it that's designed to be all-encompassing, but also, like broad language is open to interpretation, primarily by the superintendent. So we're still hashing that out.
Do you have another meeting?
Nothing. Okay, sorry, next meeting, when did we set the next meeting for?
Tuesday.
Okay. Nothing on technology.
Okay. Superintendent Evaluation Committee, we met Monday evening. We went over the superintendent's goals. We are asking that individual committee members we're asking them to complete evaluations on the superintendent by May 31st. And then our next meeting will be June 11th at 6:30 p.m. in the district conference room. And we do plan to do the superintendent evaluation at our school committee meeting on June 20th.
So from Mike and Rich, so different school committees do it differently. John had actually informed me that in Northampton, the superintendent evaluation committee basically would do the evaluation and they would make recommendations to the full committee. But I think we all agreed that the way that we wanted to do it was that you're all members of the committee, you all should have a say in the evaluation. And I think that's the right way to do it. And so your recommendations, there's a score, basically, didn't do anything, made some progress, made significant progress, or achieved a goal. And then looking at, the rubric and doing is superintendent doing an unsatisfactory job, satisfactory, efficient, or exemplary. And so all of you will have the opportunity, the paperwork. I think, Aaron, you already sent that out to everybody?
Yes.
The paperwork. So you guys all should have that. So check on your Google Drives for that. And the grades are important, but I think the comments are probably most instructive and provides the most guidance. And if we're going to do an evaluation of anybody, I don't think we should be just checking boxes. I think we should be, providing sort of substantive language that will be constructive to, help guide John in terms of what we're looking for, things that he's done, things that we like, and things that we might think we want to improve on. So I'd say take those, take some time. You may want to just look at the rubric and then sort of mull it over in your mind. I wouldn't recommend trying to go through it in an hour because there's a lot of stuff. John did an amazing job of organizing his artifacts to help support. I think Cheryl, you would agree. I mean, it's so much easier when you actually have a folder and there is a goal and then the artifacts or the documents are right there so you can look at them. So it's worth the time. Like I said, it's one of our primary responsibilities. So thanks.
Consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Should we bring up the donations one by one? Yeah. So I make a motion to accept the donation from the Falcons Athletic Booster Association for reimbursement of the new pole vault standard for $2,494.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I make a motion to accept the donation from the Power Ad Company for the upgraded need for the indoor score table for home game events inside the gym for an estimated cost of $12,500.
All in favor?
Oh, actually, just a quick question. What is the Power Ad Company and why are they donating $12,500? Are they going to control the advertising on it, or?
Is that Power Ad or Power E? Possibly.
I mean, I'm happy they're donating the money. I just wanted to.
Power Ad Company. Yeah, it didn't come through me, so.
Yeah, further clarification.
I don't want to hold up the acceptance of it, but I assume that there's no strings attached, correct?
just looking online, Power Ad is a nationwide leader in bringing fundraising revenue to athletic events.
So this was a result of a fundraiser?
I think it is, without speculating, I think it would be better for me to get Steve Burnett here to speak to that next time. I see that a lot of what they do is upgrades to scoreboards, upgrades to sports signage. There's an example here of a scorer's table that we provided. So I'm not exactly sure what the business model is, but we can get more information about that.
Yeah, I do not want to hold up. Yeah, so, yeah, let's take one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0.
It should be noted that several years ago, we actually updated the policies within the district. And so the ability for sponsorships and advertisements through outside tax-exempt organizations is permitted. And hopefully at some point that will be my post-school committee work is, being able to really take that and bring it to the next level. I think it is a very underutilized potential source of revenue, both one-time and recurring. And I think that there's an awful lot of interest in it. We just need to create the vehicle that people can get on board with.
Thank you. Are there any other agenda items that anyone would like to add to future agenda items section? Okay.
Our next meeting date?
It's May so Wednesday. Our next school committee meeting is Wednesday, May 15th, here.
5 o'clock, because the award ceremony for the high school is at 6.
At 5 o'clock. Followed by the award ceremony at high school. Okay.
Motion to go into executive.
Motion to move to executive session. Second.
Perfect. We do have the need for executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss the strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. 6A3 WBA. We'll do roll call, and we will be adjourning from executive session. Bill?
Yes.
Cheryl? Sean?
Aye.
Lisa?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Mike?
Yep.
And myself, aye. We are adjourning to executive session.
And when we come back, we're going to